Hi, Michelle Glass here. Welcome back to another episode in Chapter 26, Lecture 26 series. We are still in the urinary system, and our focus with this presentation will be on the kidney. The kidney is, of course, the location of urine production. You are studying this anatomy in a lot of detail as part of your lab. I have attempted some drawings to try to hit those highlights. But you might want to either replicate my drawings or go ahead and pull up the artwork in your textbook so that you can reference that picture and compare it with the drawings that I've made for you. So let's get started. As we look at the kidney, we're going to see some familiar terminology. We have the renal cortex on the outside of the kidney, and then the renal medulla is the inside. So we've seen this before. Cortex is the outer portion of the organ, medulla is the inner portion. The renal medulla consists of 6 to 18 renal pyramids, which I've drawn here in orange. The renal pyramid and the renal cortex makes up what's called the kidney lobe. The kidney lobe is actually the location of urine production. Notice the apex of the renal pyramid is called the renal papilla, and we will see then urine being produced in the kidney lobe, making its way to the renal papilla, and then emptying into what is described as a minor calyx. Several minor calyxes together dump into what's called a major calyx, and from there the urine is going to dump into what is called the renal pelvis. Earlier, we talked about the flow of urine from the kidney to the ureter, to the bladder, to the urethra, and out of the body. So here we're still looking inside the kidney, and we can now modify that. We can add detail. So let's go backward. We're going to see urine flowing from the renal papilla to the minor calyx, from the minor calyx to the major calyx, from the major calyx to the renal pelvis. All of that is the kidney, and then the urine would flow into the ureter, and then to the urinary bladder for storage. You, of course, have a left and a right kidney, and that means, too, that you have a left and right ureter. Now, this is not the end of the story. We need to zoom in even further to that renal lobe and take a look at the actual structures making the urine. Before we do that, let's mention that the kidney is highly vascularized. Its job is going to be to take waste products out of the bloodstream to regulate the fluid and the electrolyte and the pH content. So that means stuff has to come out of the blood, but also we have conservation of nutrients, we have reabsorption of water happening. So that means some stuff has to be returned to the blood. So obviously it's going to be highly vascularized. The renal artery is bringing that blood into the kidney. And then we have extensions all through the medulla and the cortex. So we'll be looking at that in more detail. And then we have the renal vein taking the blood away from the kidney. And again, that is extending, connecting in with capillaries and extending through the cortex and the medulla as well. This location where the renal artery and the renal vein and the ureter is going in or out of the kidney is referred to as the hilum. Okay. Now we're ready to zoom in on that renal lobe, and we're going to be looking at our structure called the nephron. So here especially, you might want to pull out a textbook artwork because my nephron here looks a little bit crazy, but we are going to be spending an entire video just talking about the nephron, so we'll add in some details. The nephron is a small tube inside of the kidney, so we can also talk about it as being part of our kidney tubules, and that's pretty much what the cortex and the renal pyramids are consisting of, are these nephrons. The nephron is the functional unit, so this is actually the location where the urine is being produced. Now, there are two different types, and they're named based on how they're located. So the one I've drawn for you here is a juxtamedullary nephron, where the term juxta means close to. So notice that this nephron has a part in both the cortex and in the renal pyramid, which is part of the renal medulla. So it's going to extend through both pieces here. You'll also see cortical nephrons, which would just be located in the renal cortex. So you'll see both of these. And that is it for now.